ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Patriots Draft Hub presented by Patriots Clubhouse. As usual, I am your host, Dow, aka DTN, and I got Tyler and Nelson with me as usual for the Draft Hub. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Pretty good, man.
I'm doing real good tonight.
It's nice to hear. So, if you're wondering what we're doing this live stream for, and it's to do a preview of the 2026 NFL Combine. As you know, it usually takes place at Lucas Oil Stadium, which is in Indianapolis. And you know what people know what the Combine is. But before we get to all the logistics, please make sure that you smash the like button and that you are subscribed to this channel. This is the best way to help us support the channel. In addition, please scan this QR code in the top right corner to join the Patriots Clubhouse Discord. I'm in it, Tyler's in it, Nelson's in it, the Patriots Clubhouse roster is in it. It would be nice if we get more people in. It would be really appreciated. As usual, if you guys are in the chat, please, I think we lost Tyler, please, and I mean please, participate in the chat, and I would definitely read some of your comments relating to draft, and if you have any questions, post them in the chat. We would love to appreciate it. So, Tyler, want to ask you this, buddy, since some people know what the Combine is, but for those who may be watching this for the first time, what is the NFL Combine and why is that essential to the NFL Draft?
The easiest way to put the Combine, it's basically just the underwear Olympics for football players. Just a bunch of guys that go to Indianapolis, change into basically gym shorts and a t-shirt, run, lift weights, and then they get to run a bunch of drills. The real importance of it is actually the behind-the-scenes stuff, the interviews. Each player gets to meet with teams. They have a designated amount of time. So a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff happens at the Combine, including a lot of like stuff that'll impact free agency as well. Agents talking with teams, agents talking about their prospects while they're also representing players that are going to be hitting free agency as well. So some bit of illegal tampering, if you will be going place, which happened, and also fights at Starbucks as well. So a lot of cool stuff happens at the Combine. So if you remember Ian Rappaport and Jordan Schultz, yep, happened. I went round 2 at that Starbucks. I'm going to be right there for it.
Yeah. And obviously we saw a lot of memorable clips from the Combine when we see Tom Brady having one of the most horrible combines, and yet is still the GOAT to this day. That's all we know. But people, when we talk about the Combine, it's usually like focusing on the measurables. And sometimes the Combine could be so overrated in a sense that you have so many players from that draft who have like their stock going up, and then some of the players having their stock going down, and some of them they don't pan out in the NFL, whether they did horrible in the Combine yet put out a good product, and then players that do have a good Combine yet didn't have a perfect performance in the NFL. So Nelson, why is it that teams get so carried away with like the Combine performances, like for example the 40-yard dash, especially if you're looking for a wide receiver?
Because that 40-yard dash is what everybody wants, that speed. They don't really think about the measurables or their talent as well as they need to, but it's more about that speed that they want out of every wide receiver and running backs. And if you have noticed, every speedy receiver that we've had besides Tyreek Hill has not had a real good showing when it came down to the pros. For example, look at Xavier Worthy. He hasn't really performed out of his 3 years that he's been there. You know what I'm saying? And none of the running backs that they have that had all that great speed has, besides Ashan, you may have like 1 out of 10 that may come out. But instead of them looking at the production that they have done on the field, the Combine is pretty much more of a showcase than what it needs to be.
Definitely.
Yeah. And people, I think that's the biggest like flaw when it comes to the Combine, because everybody looks at the speed and you're like, oh, that's the guy, and then doesn't do well. Like for example, we got Tyquan Thornton because of what he did through the 40-yard dash and did not do well. a perfect example of players that did not do good in the combine, like for example, Puka Nakua having one of his worst combines, yet is showing out for the Rams. Like after all, he was the first team All Pro. He used I assume there's so many.
JSN is another one, as well as T Mac. You know, he didn't have the best 40, but look how he became the Rookie of the Year.
Exactly, and so obviously there are a lot of players that participate in the combine or basically are invited to the combine. But for Tyler, there are some players that opted out for the combine and show out in the pro day. For those that don't know what the pro day is, what is the pro day and how is it related to the combine for players who are not invited to the combine?
So for the combine, there is 319 players that are going to be that got invites for this. So there are players that still would be considered like draft worthy, but they don't like get the invite. They're ignored, like they're glossed over. There's a fair amount of like decent players that who was it recently that I just saw that got snipped from it. I'm blanking on it, but there's a couple players that get snipped from it. They just don't make the cut, and or just randomly didn't get the invite. So if that's the case, the pro day helps numerous ways for a player like Fernando Mendoza, who is not going to be participating at all in this combine. But what he is going to do is he is going to go to his pro day, and he's going to go ahead and showcase some of his teammates, some of the guys that aren't, you know, as high profile or so forth, even though a lot of the guys are pretty much high profile since they just won the national championship. But it's a great opportunity to work with your teammates one last time, show off to some of these guys that you work alongside. And also, pro days also have underclassmen as well. So you're getting a good look at like, oh crap, that guy from North Carolina, Omari, let's say Omari Hampton, we'll try to remember him for next year when we watch Drake May. Obviously, we didn't get him, but just as an example, you're seeing some guys that you look down later on the road to grab.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's a lot of players that tend to show out in the pro day. Like you can look at like many schools that have a lot of pro day, like for example, LSU, North Carolina. You can talk about like Alabama, heck, even Oregon. So when we talk about the combine, we all know what the combine. Now we know what the combine is. What are the drills, Nelson, that usually happen in the combine? Like I have a whole list of them. We got the 40-yard dash. We also got bench press. We got vertical jump, broad jump, 3-cone drill, 20-yard shuttles, and a 60-yard shuttle.
And you also got the splits as well for the defense, as well as I think the wide receivers also do the splits, the split cones. And with that, it's pretty much for those drills that we have, or that they have mostly doing, it's pretty much for them to see the footwork and the techniques. Now, a lot of the footwork you can, train out of them, but some of you can't. There are plenty of guys that you can't just, the footwork ain't never going to be there as much as they may try to. But the drills, I see they're beneficial, but then they're not beneficial because it makes it such a sample size, and there's no pressure to it. It's pressure by time, but the time anybody can be fast enough to break a time.
Mm-hmm.
But can you really be fast enough to get this person off of you? That's why I like the Senior Bowl a little bit more than the Combine. To me, that should be more, important.
I agree.
But that's live. That's basically like live bullets. The Combine is not live bullets. It's just basically I would just say it's a training session.
Exactly. And I think like to piggyback off of what Nelson said, like 2 points is like the speed as well. Like your 40 times not your football speed. You're not wearing pads. You're not, you're not running routes. And most of the time, not every route you run is a straight 40-yard dash, essentially. Most of the time you're on average probably maybe 15 to 20 yards for your route. And then for Senior Bowl, exactly that. Like you're going up head to head against people and you're seeing what you do on a football field as opposed to, hey, look how much I can do with this. The more exciting thing is when, let's say, when we watch the quarterback, receivers, and tight end groups is seeing them actually catch passes, seeing them how their hands are consecutively or consistently. That's really mostly what I watch for when it comes to those types of drills.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with what Nelson says, that sometimes the combine is usually like a trap, in a sense that you see quarterbacks, for example. Let's take quarterbacks, for example. The quarterback position is always the important position, but you see quarterbacks wowing you in the combine, yet they don't translate into the pros or what they do in college. Like, for example, Anthony Richardson didn't do much with Florida. And then when we went to the combine, the only reason he was like the second quarterback taken off, the third quarterback taken off, excuse me, he was wowed because of his arm, because he has one of those big throws. But
He has the Joe Milton arm.
Agreed. But the problem is they're not consistent. You got to be consistent in order for you to be a good quarterback. And agreed, like the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, heck, even the Hula Bowl, those are good ways to evaluate players, especially at the positions of need. Granted that you're not going to get like the most savvy player, the best player available, but you at least get an idea of which players might show out in one of those bowls and players that drop. And then sometimes you got players like, even if they get drafted, even if they have like a horrible performance in one of those bowls, they are developed properly and they do well in the pros, especially once you have a good coaching staff, and always have a good coaching staff. So to break down the combine schedule, so the combine will start on the 26th of February. So mind breaking down, Tyler, the schedule for what the fans or what the scouting teams are going to look at.
I sure can. So it's going to start out with the defense and linebackers for defensive linemen and linebackers for the first day, which would be Thursday. And for at least our viewing sake, I'll break it down this way. Defensive linemen, linebackers start on Thursday. Friday will be defensive backs, so corners and safeties, as well as tight ends. And then Saturday is going to probably be the more exciting day. You're going to have quarterbacks, receivers, and running backs. And then Sunday is probably going to be the day most people are going to like skip over, which they shouldn't. It's the offensive linemen. It's my personal favorite day, so I can see footwork and athleticism out of the linemen, as well as a lot of strength techniques as well too, bench pressing and so forth. There's a lot of interesting stuff that they do with the offensive linemen. But that's the visual dates for what we'll watch on NFL Network. But throughout the week, basically starting tomorrow and into Tuesday, that's going to be GMs talking to GMs, talking to agents, starting to talk to prospects the day before Thursday. So Wednesday, that's where the real behind the scenes stuff starts getting rolling. So.
Yeah, definitely. You get to see like, what is it? You get to see like content creators who are basically qualified, who have the like credentials to attend the combine. They get to do like so many interviews with so many prospects, and basically you get to go behind the scene. You get to see the players who they're like off the field, especially when it comes to interviews. Now, I want to ask you this, Nelson. Why are interviews so important in combines?
When it comes down to the interviews at the combine, is only 15 minutes. That 15 minutes is very important because it gives the GMs as well as the scouts a sense of what kind of character this person is. So it's going to be rapid fire. It's going to be simple type of questions. It's not going to be the in-depth that you would like to have, but it's going to give you just enough so I can bring you in, seeing if you're good enough for me to bring you in for a 30 visit to really talk to you and get to know you.
Yeah. And no one even paid attention to the interviews. Like sometimes you want to get the best out of the interviews just because you tend to see a lot of like young players being cocky, like, they can do this or I can do that. Or most of the times they will say, I can do whatever the team asks me to do, and unfortunately, they don't translate it. And that's the saddest thing nowadays, especially once you get drafted and you get an interview, especially from your local team, like from one of the local media. They will say some of the most obvious stuff that they obviously are not like the ready, and it's kind of sad when you think about it. Obviously you want players with good character who are culture setters, and obviously you want players to do well, especially if you want this player to be attracted to like a certain team. You obviously want to have a good product with them. Like, for example, the Patriots. After what Mike Vrabel's done with the Patriots in 2025, obviously it's going to be a huge attraction for young players, but most importantly, free agents to come to the Patriots, and that's really important.
Definitely.
And so now we get an idea of what the combine is and what the important aspects of it. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about what everybody wants to talk about, and that is players, positions, schools, and obviously what we want as Patriots fans. So I want to ask you this, Tyler. Given the schedule that we discussed, like, what are the biggest positions that you want to look at when it comes to the combine?
Definitely the edge group. So it'll be grouped in with the defensive line, but edge, linebackers. I'd like to see a little bit of the corner. Honestly, I want to see everything, but corners as well, just so we can find like maybe our day 3 guy possibly that's possibly makes an impression on us. Receivers, of course, definitely tight end. I don't mind running back as well. And offensive linemen, especially if we're able to watch like right tackles, great. But I personally, I don't think we're going to be looking too much into guard. I think free agency, that's where we're going to be addressing guard from what it seems. But all in all, the biggest groups are definitely the defensive group. I can read off. I mentioned earlier it was 319 total players that are there. The groups that it will be. Hold on, I just had it. Sorry, everybody. My apologies. I just had it a moment ago, but 319 players are are going to be there in Indianapolis, and then the groups of each players. I think I saw it was. Where in the heck did it go? My apologies, but regardless, it's definitely going to be a lot of players all in all. And I think receiver is going to be really like the one that everybody's going to be checking out. A lot of everything that happens on Saturday. So a lot of the offensive guys is going to be the most attention-seeking day, which is going to be the quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers. And that is going to be on Saturdays. It's going to be the most watched day, more than likely.
Yeah. Actually, there's one other point I want to talk about before we get into the players, and I forgot about this, and that is the physical exams. Yes, physical and injury evaluations. Obviously, there are players who have a wide history of injuries and players who are, either healthy or not healthy. So, Nelson, why do teams want to look at the physical and injury evaluations for young players?
It's really to see how durable they are. You know, their whole thing is if you've been injured a bunch of times throughout your college career, you ain't gonna hold up well in this grown man game. You know, 'cause you got guys that are 340 pounds hitting you more than somebody who's 290, 220. And that's their whole thing, is wanting to see is, are you durable enough to stay in the league? As a wide receiver and running back, that's a very big question because they're the ones that get hit the most, especially running backs. And on top of that, they want to see how long of a injury it has been. You know, that was one reason why the wide receiver from Detroit had failed that year. And Penix was, well, they reached when they got Penix, but he was originally supposed to have been a second to a third round pick because of all the injuries. And now look at what happened with him. You know,
yeah, you see a lot of players, especially coming off with immediate ACL tears. Like, I'll give you a perfect example from this year's draft class. Chris Bell out of Louisville, suffering from a torn ACL, and obviously players that come from recent major injuries like ACLs, MCLs, knee injuries, hamstrings, you name all of it. It's really important to make sure that you have a clean slate of no injuries. And that is hard nowadays because obviously players get injured, but not some players have a lot of players have minor injuries, but there are some players that have a wide history of major injuries. And obviously you do not want to be the guy that gets injured the most. So that's why it's really important to stay healthy. And so, yeah, you want to stay healthy. You can be that actually helps you be part of the team and have your draft stock going up rather than going down. So,
real quick, Dow, I did finally get that total for each position group. So I don't know why I lost it, but so in total for those groups, we have 15 quarterbacks, 21 running backs, 47 wide receivers, 27 tight ends, 57 offensive linemen, that's tackle, guard, and center, defensive linemen, which is going to include edge, as well as DT, nose tackle, etc. Then we have linebackers, and then we have defensive back, safety, corner, and then finally, I'm sorry. For defensive linemen was 63, linebackers was 29, defensive backs was 54, and then finally specialists, kickers, punters, long snapper. It's going to be 7 of those guys.
Impressive.
319 total players.
So obviously edge rusher, I think offensive linemen are going to be important positions. So when we pull out the roster for players, and obviously it's going to be a mix of day 1, day 2, and day 3, including some UDFAs. Let's talk about draft for a second, because obviously the combine is not going to give you all the goodies, and obviously these drills, sometimes they mean something, but sometimes mean nothing, especially because obviously you want to see one-on-ones. You want to see players that do good in real-life situations. So let's get into the draft. Obviously, free agency has to start it, and obviously that's also when trades are back in the mix. So for now, let's just focus on the important positions of need for the Patriots before we get into the whole free agency needs. So let's start with the most important position, edge rusher. So when we look into this, we see we have like a crap load of edge rushers that we want to take a look at in the draft. And so let's take a look at some of the edge rushers that we want. And obviously big names that are currently like ranking from like top 1 to like the top 100. And so let's see if I can load somewhere. Let me see if I can find this list of edge rushers that I really wanted. If I can find it. Just give me a second. So we got a lot of edge rushers. So I'm using the NFL Buzz. So we got a lot. So we got Ruben Bain, David Bailey, Kedrick Falk, and so much more. So let's take a look. We got, obviously there's 4 pages, so at least there's going to be like 48 edge rushers we want to look at. So Nelson, out of all the edge rushers, like there's a lot of 48, we could talk about a plentiful of edge rushers. So which edge rusher do you think would fall to the Patriots? Obviously, we're not going to get Ruben Bain or David Bailey or Arvell Reese, heck, even like a Peter Woods, but heck, even Keldrick Falk. But which player, like which edge rusher would fall to the New England Patriots?
Out of them, I know the Patriots done talked to TJ Parker twice because I know they really like him. I can see him falling to us as well as Mason. But there is one person that I don't know why I have a feeling, but I think he might just fall, and that's Cassius Howell. And the only reason why is because everybody has been talking about his short arms and the length of him and everything, and that can be something that can hinder him in the game in the pros. When I look
He's
at him
thinner.
play, I don't see that. I can see the bend, I can see the tangibles, and all he needs is the right defensive coordinator, and he can be a monster on that edge.
He's
But it's
thin,
just like how
explosive,
everybody,
though, for sure.
yeah, because it's just they're treating him like they treated Campbell last year. You know, but and I know a lot of people got Zion Young being drafted to us at 31. Granted, he's a good player, but he is a whole nother Abdul Carter, Mike Green, all it rolled up into one.
Keon White.
Yes, and no, and I'm good on that. Him and Overton, I'm good on them too.
Yes.
Now, if I can get Gabe, if we miss out on TJ and R. Mason, but Gabe is still there, I'll take him.
I'm with you.
Yeah, if I were in that range, like TJ Parker, he's going to be somewhere in the 20s, but obviously where the Patriots are projected to get, it's either a mix of R. Mason Thomas, Gabe Yakas, like you mentioned, and obviously one of those underrated names, Akeem Mesidor out of Miami. And the one problem with Mesidor is that he's up in age, but he still has like the technique and all of that. So obviously, you obviously do not want like some old edge rusher, but obviously you want to have somebody with the experience, somebody with the proper technique, and that's really important, especially when we look into edge rushers. Are there like any underrated edge rushers, Tyler, that we can like claim from like day 2 or day 3?
Are y'all really asking that? There's so many of them, right, Tyler?
There's way too many. So let's start off. I'll read off a couple. Malachi Lawrence out of UCF. He's starting to get a lot of buzz right now. I have a couple too. There's the one big name I want to mention that nobody's freaking talking about, and you can't find if you don't see his name like hardly mentioned at all. Caden Curry out of Ohio State had 11 sacks this year. He was outstanding, but he's just overshadowed by how many Ohio State guys are in this draft that nobody's. I just don't. I genuinely don't understand why he's not talked about more. Nadame Tucker out of Western Michigan. He's kind of honestly. I know how much we keep talking about getting Max Crosby. I kind of view him in the same realm of like trying to take him. Like small school guy makes the transition to NFL. He's got a mean streak to him. Real tough, nasty, physical player. There's a guy that I don't think anybody really is brought up at all, and I'm really glad to see he got the combine invite. And that was Aiden Hubbard out of Northwestern. He is really good at pressure, getting the pursuit, a lot of good technique. I don't think he had like the sack production ideally. I think if I off the top of my head, and I might be wrong, it's 4 to 6 sacks somewhere in that range for Northwestern. But he just has this like there's something to his game that I feel like if he's surrounded by better defensive talent beside him, I think he can definitely make an impact with it. But there's a lot of good names here, and it's going to be really exciting to watch on the first day.
Yeah. Also, you have players that are overrated just because of the school that they're part of. Like, for example, Patrick Payton, I'm not a huge fan of. There's also Tyreek Sapp. He's like, it doesn't impress me a bit. Derek Moore.
I was just about to say Derek Moore.
There's two that really do that's under the radar. Logan Fano from Utah. He's one that everybody needs to look out for, and as well as Max. I can't say that last name from Iowa.
Llewellyn.
Yes. Have you watched any of his tape? Because I've watched his tape over and over, and his play is exactly like TJ.
Yeah.
The only difference is he can go all over the field.
Right. And I thought the only person that I saw that just because I watched him was against Vega Ione. I rewatched Vega against Iowa this year, and that was like really like the main guy that gave him trouble. But Vega's just that damn good. But no, Max has definitely got a mean streak to him as well. And real quick, just because somebody might correlate this together, but Logan Fano is brothers with Spencer Fano, the right tackle, also out of Utah. So just in case anybody was curious, they are brothers.
That is so cool to know. Obviously, there's some more edge rushers. Obviously, you want to get. I think that if I were the Patriots, I would get like a edge rusher who is a bona fide starter, not like one of those developmentals. Because yeah, you can get a developmental here and there, but obviously you want like a immediate starter because one, Chason is a free agent who I think he could get like a small deal out of him. Landry, I think his deal needs to be restructured based after what happened to him, how he fell off due to that knee injury. Jennings, he's here and there. Jennings is here and there, and then Ponder, he's more of your depth piece. So yeah, I think that getting a bona fide edge rusher who is that powerful, yeah, obviously you want a bona fide edge rusher. Another position that no one talks about, I think needs to be talked about, is the offensive line. And obviously after the Super Bowl, the offensive line looked like they were in shambles, particularly on the left side. So if I were the Patriots, if I were to look into day 2 and day 3, I would look into getting like a left guard or a right tackle. So let's start with left guard. Would you wait until you get a left guard in free agency, or you just wait until the draft? Because obviously there are some good names in the draft, but obviously I'm more looking into free agency. I'm going to ask you, Tyler.
For me, when it comes to guard, I just think we just did the experiment of of 2 young guys taking that spot, guard and left tackle, and I think the team, myself included, like we're not giving up on Will Campbell. I think he had a good enough season throughout everything until he got hurt. Numbers, the metrics, and obviously all the tweets going back and forth, people praising him is evidence enough of that. But when left guard, I just think it'd be better for us to sign an experienced guy, help develop Campbell further, have a more reliable set and forget sturdy guy right beside him that Campbell doesn't have to think in the back of my mind, I got to worry about him as well if he struggles. I think that's just a better move to get somebody with experience there. You can look to drafting guard. Obviously, it never hurts to have depth, but also at the same time, we did just extend Ben Brown. We still do have Caden Wallace in the building, and we still have like a couple names that are there that we can utilize for that. So I don't know if that's going to be a draft choice. Obviously, we don't address it in free agency. That kind of tells us where they're going.
Because the last thing you want to do is drafting a left tackle. And obviously, we already drafted left tackle, but the only reason you would draft a left tackle is for depth, not for like to have a backup. But then you have Marcus Bryant out of Missouri, who was a left tackle, but he was being overshadowed by Armand Membu.
And I'm glad you bring that up, because I'm seeing like people like Field Yates and like a couple others that are just having us draft a guy like Caleb Lomu or Monroe Freeling, and they're just like they must want to take a tackle after that Super Bowl performance, and it's like, dude, well, they play left tackle, so you're going to tell us we're going to just draft this guy and put him on the right, or is he taking out Will Campbell after Mike Vrabel literally just said he is our left tackle? We're not moving him left guard. We're not. He believes in his player. He made that very clear and abundantly clear. We're not doing it. We're not changing anything for Campbell. You want to do better, support him. So why would we draft another left tackle just to create a media storm to say we've got 2 left tackles now? Why would we want to put that unnecessary bullcrap on a player and kill his confidence even further after that Super Bowl? So I say right tackle, left guard. Give him the support. Get a future pipeline guy for right tackle. That's kind of where I'm at with this offensive line. Center, it's a good center class too, but I think Jared Wilson's going to be the move for long term.
I think the Wilson versus Bradbury would be an interesting center competition, because you want to see competition within the center position. Right guard, not needed until like when it's necessary because Michael Bueno has done a decent job at right guard. Right tackle, obviously, right tackle has been solid, but age is going to be the biggest important thing when it comes to like drafting. So I think that I would draft a. So it will depend on what we do with Vidarian Lowe, because if Vidarian Lowe goes to like some other team, I would look into another left tackle, just so that you can have like a backup. So like if Campbell goes down, and obviously we saw Campbell going down against the Bengals, you obviously want to have an insurance policy with a good left tackle, and there could be some competition, but obviously you do not want that to happen. It's just that it would be easier for teams to like we draft a young left tackle, have this competition and have them be like a backup, and then for a team that really needs a left tackle, we can like trade them away, just like how we do a quarterback where multiple players. So it's a debate here and there, but I don't know what your thoughts on this, Nelson, about this whole left tackle dispute after the Super Bowl.
I think it's a bunch of BS. It's just everybody the national media wants to overreact because their whole argument for the whole year was that the Patriots were frauds anyway. And that having the two young guys on the left side was making us look like frauds, but it really wasn't because, like I said, both of them came back from major injuries. You're going to be more careful when you came back from an injury like those, And I can see us getting a right tackle, which is not a bad thing, to back up Moses. And then you also got Bryant to back up Will, even though Bryant he's been a swing tackle this year. You know what I'm saying? So even if Vidarian Lowe leaves, they just signed two of the practice squad guys back. Both of them were tackles. One's the swing and one's the left. So you have depth on that part on the practice squad because they did that with those two, and also Mekhi Butler. They've re-signed him, the left guard, who they picked up last year at UDFAs. So I'm not really worrying about that. It's just doing the free agency. I think they're gonna go ahead and get a guard, let him and Brad and Ben Brown battle it out to see who's gonna start. Bradbury and Wilson going to battle. We already know Caden Wallace and Mike ain't going to battle. That's Mike's job, period. Caden's just there to be his backup.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think he's going. That's what I pretty much think they're going to feel. They're probably most likely going to draft a tackle and to develop him behind Moses, and that'll be it.
Agreed. I would not be pissed if we get a developmental left guard and then get like the starting right tackle, just so that not much of a developmental, but mix of a developmental and a starter. So if I were the Patriots, maybe like look into day 2 or early day 3 to get a right tackle, and then look into like day 6 or day 7 to get a left guard. So like the one player I'm looking at. So basically, if we were to sign a left guard, like for example, a David Edwards or this guy out of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Isaac, who obviously have the 6th or 13th lowest pressure rates, and obviously that's important. I can look into like going into day 3 of the draft and get someone like a Micah Morris out of Georgia. And the reason why I mentioned Micah Morris is because he did play left guard, but also he has this synergy with him and Jared Wilson. Obviously, roots is really important too, so that we could see a bit of chemistry here and there. What are your thoughts on Micah Morris out of Georgia?
You go ahead, Tyler. I'll let you take this one.
I to be completely honest with you, like I've not really checked on him too much. A lot of the Georgia line guys, like outside of Ernest Green, that's kind of like where I drew the line. I didn't even think Monroe Freeling was declaring this year. So I just Georgia wasn't really super heavily watched for me outside of linebacker. I watched more on the defensive side. But as I mentioned, I pretty much just kind of checked in on Ernest Green throughout when I could, and then wasn't really paying too much attention on him. But hey, I mean, we'll see how it kind of pans out, especially throughout their pro day. We'll see. you can't catch them all. You know what I mean?
can't.
So no, but I mean, I'll try to look into him as well for us. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
to me, Michael Morris is he's a decent guard. I'm not gonna lie, he is pretty good.
mhm.
His footwork does need some work. That's one thing that he really does. Because he turns to the outside more, and a lot of his pressures come from the inside. So that's what he got to work on when he comes to the pros. Now, if he's being behind, saying if we just let Ben Brown be the left guard, he's still coming behind Ben Brown, who has some experience, but not as much at that position. But I think that would still help him out to get where he needs to be at, because Ben Brown next to Campbell was a pretty much good duo when he had to take that spot, but he still needs some a little bit more development himself in that spot.
yeah. Obviously, he's meant to be more of a developmental guy. Obviously, you do not want to obviously a developmental wouldn't hurt at all, and just have him sit behind like some top tier guy that we can get in free agency, or have Ben Brown start. But it will also depend. We go ahead, Tyler.
I was gonna say, I just think it's kind of funny how like Georgia does a lot of it, where you rather have guys that have been starting for 2 to 3 years, like an Ernest Green, or you've got these 1 year wonders that like Jared Wilson, for example, was our 1 year wonder at Georgia. He had a phenomenal year as center there, and now we have Monroe Freeling, one and done, and he's in first year starting, and now he's like getting skyrocketed out from where he played. So it's kind of funny how Georgia just has that natural effect on some of these players.
Hey,
But if
Alabama
you,
used to do the same thing.
exactly, that's how it just kind of goes. They don't really I just feel like some of it's justified, some of it's sometimes not totally warranted for some of it. So
Yeah, obviously you're not going to get like some guy from like an offensive line factory, like for example in Notre Dame, as we all too well. We have a history of offensive linemen out of Notre Dame. So, but right tackle is really interesting. We can get like a lot of players, but you see players rising up, and like for example, Max Iannaker out of Arizona State. He has been rising up like crazy. I can't believe he just went from like day 3 to more like early day 2, and I would not be shocked if he could even make it to late day 1.
Oh, he's gonna be a first rounder.
Yeah,
just because
the tools, the traits, everything's there.
And there are so many left tackle desperate teams out there. There's going to be a lot of reaching in the first. I can tell you that.
But even then, Nelson, I'll say this: I don't even think it's that bad of a reach anyway, because he played against David Bailey and he did really well. Like, I mean, it wasn't a perfect game. It's David Bailey, but like he showed me enough that hey, he held his own against him. So I believe it was a sack that he did give up in that game, but throughout it was just like his footwork, his chase, his pursuit, like staying with him, staying on him. I thought it was really impressive work out of Max Iannaker for that. So I'm excited. I mean, it'd be nice if we can get him in day 2. I think that, especially if he's going to be participating in the combine, as we'll see, I think he's just going to continue to impress.
There's too many players we're not going to get, and it's upsetting me right now, because
it sucks.
At this moment, I have a feeling we're not going to get your boy Kyle Lewis.
I know.
Or my boy Ted Hurst.
Yeah.
And when Taylor Kyle said that he was watching him, I already knew that means everybody watching him now.
Right.
So those two we already know we're not going to be able to get.
That's the hard part about where we're picking, because like we're so used to being in the 4th pick or in that range, we've gotten accustomed to this idea of where we're picking so mid to early now. And
not really, but in all honesty, these are the first 2 last year and the year before were the first 2 that we've actually had
picked that early. Yes.
We've always been from 15 to 31.
Right. So now it's like coming through. Like now that we're getting
had a chance to get in top tier, talent. Now it's like, man, we done went back to the bottom again.
Right. I was just saying, just for like people covering this team or new to this like covering aspect, it's like for me, I'm just when it was Bill as our coach, I didn't care. I love the
I couldn't care
draft,
less
but
either.
it was just like Bill's gonna just do whatever the hell he wants. I shouldn't even put any stock into this. And then once we moved on from Bill, it was like, okay, there's a shot. We can. Well, they might actually take players that I'm aware of. I've actually watched and I want and I like, and now it's a whole new thing. And we saw how that went this past year. There's a lot of guys that Craig Woodson, a guy that I just absolutely loved, and I'm so happy we took him. Will Campbell, as you guys all know, how much I love that freaking dude. Henderson, all these guys. We actually took players that have namesake, and
Yeah.
it's cool. So I feel like we got our head in the right place for this, and it's gonna be interesting to see what we do at 31.
It's a lot better than going back to your whole Belichick talk. And I obviously want to continue with some of the position or some of the players. Like when it comes to Belichick, like when it came to Gerard Mayer, obviously we want like a promising year, but it wasn't. It was more of an extension with Belichick because Drake May was it. You didn't get anything. There was no one else in that draft that stood out to me. Like Dial, he's coming back from an ACL, but there's going to be a competition here or there if he's going to continue to be a cornerback for us, or we just cut him and just be like another waste of a pick. And then Caden
That was
Wallace.
going to be there. Because remember, he was one of the best gunners that we had. Him with Schooler, those two was the best gunners that we had. Since Dow went out, they've been cycling through gunners like water.
I felt like it was like all Schooler this year.
It really was.
Like it was Woods was opposite of him. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was Craig Woods was mostly opposite of him, and like I didn't really notice it. I just always felt like it was Schooler getting the job done every time he had the punt. But maybe it's just me. But
I do hate that he did get hurt, but I think he's going to be here because of that point of it.
Definitely.
What's interesting? Eric, you got me. He said,
we got some good questions here.
With the 31st pick in the 2026 NFL draft, the New England Patriots select Cole Strange Jr., nobody cares state. He says, worst thing about picking late is if you're up all night, then we trade back into the second round and don't pick up in the first. That's what the Buffalo Bills did in 2024. They trade back twice because they're so stubborn of what they want at a wide receiver, like with the whole Xavier Worthy and then Xavier Leggett, and then, with Keon Coleman. So obviously you do not want that. But there is a miracle if we were to trade back up, but only for a good price. So going back to the whole right tackle thing, like for a briefly moment, that another player that dropped a lot is Jennings Dunker. And I think that Jennings Dunker, did he participate in the Senior Bowl, or I could have?
He did.
Yep.
What was his performance like?
Which is crazy to me because he had a great Senior Bowl.
He performed really well.
He had a great Senior Bowl, he put who was it? It was
Parker.
TJ. Yeah,
TJ Parker.
He put TJ Parker on his backside.
I think Derek Moore as well. If it wasn't Derek Moore, it was he's on here too. Hold on one second. I'll tell you exactly who it is. If it's
when I said he put them on their backside,
Parker was one
really
of them.
Did. And for him to be dropping, that is just crazy.
Because Jennings Dunker was the guy who we may look into in day one, but obviously seeing him fell to day 2 and day 3, I would not be shocked if we get him in day 3. I mean, day 2, excuse me. Like,
it's either him or even Demetrius Crownover.
Yeah, I like him as well. He's very raw.
Yes, his techniques needs work, but him being 6'7", 320, 325, he would be the perfect student behind Moses. Because he's almost there. He's raw, but he's not too raw where he, needs a whole year behind. If you needed him to be a spot starter, he can do it. If Moses was to get hurt, perfect person to put behind him.
Yeah.
I mean, even just looking up Jennings Dunker real quick, like immediately everything, like for Senior Bowl, everything is just like, "Oh, great Senior Bowl, great day, excellent day." Like he's solidifying himself, and then it's just like he's now going under the radar, and it's not being talked about as much. And it is funny how that kind of all works. Um, I think the only person I definitely know is T.J. Parker is one of the guys who knocked on his ass. I am just trying to see if there was because there was one more freaking guy. It's really not that important. I'm sorry if I'm wasting your time.
Brian Parker. Brian Parker out of Duke is interesting because he's like another version of Will Campbell.
Yeah. He definitely has shorter arms though. They measured him at 31. So Will Campbell was 33 even. That was confirmed at the Senior Bowl, not taken by an LSU, not taken just by LSU personnel. It was an NFL direct person that measured him at 33-inch arms. Brian Parker was 31 and 3/5, 3/6, something like that. So his arms definitely were not up to par, but I mean he's still on tape, played right tackle very well. He's got the mental sake of being what we're looking for, but it's just I don't know how much they
got him predicted as a guard. I think he's going to be a good guard.
He even played center the majority of the time at the Shrine Bowl too. So
yeah.
So I think they just want him inside no matter what. He's just very intelligent, so that's probably why they were looking at him more for center. Just like the last Duke guy. You know who I'm talking about, Nelson.
I know you're talking about. I can't get his name.
Shoot. I keep running myself into this freaking wall of names I'm blanking on. Duke center.
Oh, Graham Barton.
Yes, Graham Barton. Thank you, John.
Okay.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah, he came out last year, ain't it?
Yeah, I think he played
like he a Pro Bowler for the Buccaneers. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he played left tackle and center, but he has like T-Rex arms. He just didn't do well, and yet yet the Buccaneers need a center. So, but
Oh, and Jennings Dunker, by the way, for all the people that obsess over arm length, he did come at 34-inch arms at the Senior Bowl. Another quick note, because we're still talking about the Combine here. Do keep in mind the Combine royally screwed up measurements last year.
Like what they did with Will Campbell, and then when the pro day,
it wasn't even just him. It was like it was him. The only guy that ironically came back at accurate measurements was Membo. That was it. Every other tackle got screwed over. And it was like, dude, this is like your money stake, and you're getting these people labeled as guards. Like, you got to be accurate in your stuff. Even if you think you didn't get it right, do it again. Like, don't just hassle this. Like, they need to have a more efficient system on how they're measuring these guys if they can't get it right by how they're currently doing it.
Yeah,
so keep that in mind.
Yeah, the problem with the Combine is that there are so many flaws, especially when it comes to measurement. Like, not everything will be accurate. And that is where teams, especially scouts, fall into this trap of like, oh, they have a good Combine, but sometimes their measurements get so miscued to the point that teams draft them, and then the moment that they show up when it comes to offseason and the pros, it doesn't pan out really well often. So there's a reason why Pro Day is a little better, but at the same time, it's the same thing. Only difference is that Pro Day is with like your teammates and whatnot.
The other thing with Pro Days, for if they're doing measurements and stuff too, you got to be mindful on who's actually performing the measurement. Is it the team, or is it like there's an actual NFL guy like LSU just did last year for Will Campbell, so there wasn't any bias on this. NFL coach, you measure him, so it's not an LSU guy saying, "Oh, he's 33 6'8". No, he landed at 33. So, but then you look at Colorado and how they tried to dictate how they ran their drills. That's the type of stuff you got to kind of worry about when you're watching some of these pro days.
Yeah, that's so frustrating when you hear that, and obviously you do not want that. But let's get at least 3 more positions to look at.
Yeah.
Let's talk about wide receiver, for example. And good thing we're looking into the reason why wide receiver is somewhat important, because there are a couple things. we have a decent wide receiver roster, but we might want a wide receiver one because here's one thing: Stephon Diggs getting up in age, also the legal issue, which I think is BS. But at the same time, Stephon Diggs, he's not going to be your go-to guy, and not to mention Matt Collins is up there in age. You have a couple of players like Pop Douglas who did not pan out, and for his size, there is a reason why you want some guy who is like tall, like a 6'3" or 6'4", like a Mike Evans or a Drake London. Hell, even like a Puka Nacua, not even to mention Nico Collins. So obviously measure is both important, but speed is important. But where do you mainly focus on when it comes to a wide receiver in a combine? Now, because speed is one thing, but obviously having the best hands, having the best catching radius is also important, especially when it comes to these drills.
Those are the two things you look at the most when it comes to wide receivers. It's not the speed with it, it's more of the hands. Can you consistently catch the ball? If you holding it within those 5 seconds and drop, boom, boom, and you can constantly do it without a bobble, those are the type of wide receivers I want. You know what I'm saying? Because that means you ain't going to drop that ball. It's always going to be in your hands. As long as you're doing consistently in each route, how fast are your breaks? Can you stop on a dime? Those are what you're going to be looking for when it comes down to wide receivers and their drills.
Yeah, that's going to be really important. And you see so many flaws when it comes to wide receivers, like for obviously Xavier Worthy, for example, but another noticeable player, John Ross, who was drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals and did not do a lick in the pros.
The Raiders were known for,
my God,
we got to draft every single guy that runs at least a 4.3. Like, if you're a 4.3, you're on this freaking team. So it really is not everything. It's a nice trait to have, but
that's how Mike Daniel was building up Miami.
And when Matt Groh had, like, when we took Tyquan Thornton and the running back that we had out of South Dakota, Pierce.
Pierce.
Yeah. I think ultimately, when you're drafting, when he said, if you want fast guys, you got to draft fast guys. Well, fast guys aren't everything. It's what the hell can you do on the field, and that we kind of learned that the hard way. So thankfully, I think we're in better positioning than we were with that.
That's what happens when you don't hire the right personnel on the coaching staff or the team, and that's the biggest flaw. So when we talk about wide receivers, let's just focus on the tall guys, because I think at this point, Tyler, after this performance, I think Pop Douglas could say bye, Felicia, and basically you want to get a guy who's like at least 6 foot.
Everybody hates my take on this because I said it before. We need 2 wide receivers. We need to draft 2. I love Booty. He did good this year, but Booty is not explosive enough. Right. He cannot get enough separation. That ball that Drake threw to him with Pat Surtain all over him. Imagine he had Surratt right there, or even you had Caleb Douglas or Chris Brazel. That's a catch and a run.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Booty's a good but he's a possession type wide receiver.
My take with this real quick, just to address Booty, I think he just has this chemistry with Drake that I can't see them saying we can move on from him. I ultimately view it this way. We took Kyle Williams last year. He measures out at like 5'11", 6 foot, basically. We have Stephon Diggs, and my view of it was Kyle Williams is ultimately going to be what Stephon Diggs is their hopeful plan if they can develop him the way they want to develop him. Obviously, it'd be nice if we saw him have more reps, but I think when we look at our receiver room, we have a lot of the same guys, same height, same build. Yep. And not to say that McDaniels hasn't made that work before. We saw it with Amendola. We saw it with Edelman. We saw it with Brandon Cooks. Like, a lot of these guys that had that, Chris Hogan, a lot of these guys that had like that similar build and height, but this is Drake May. This isn't Tom Brady. What works and benefits Drake May more? And I think he can still make it work to whatever receiver he has, but I just think he ultimately needs a big body type guy that can come down with the catch if he's got to throw it higher than it's needed to, that can come down with it. Brazel, as was just mentioned, Chris Brazel, that is out of Tennessee, Denzel Boston, as well as
Thomas
Malachi
out of Georgia.
Fields.
I love that kid.
I would even argue he isn't exactly kind of like the tallest or biggest guy, but you mentioned him as well, Nelson Surratt. Like, I think he's super consistent in his catching and can open the field up with having that. My view is get a big statured guy. This is long-term picture here. Big statured guy, Kyle Williams, your speedish, fast kind of guy, quick off the reception, make an explosive play is the hopeful goal. And then you still have Booty with the familiarity to be kind of like your 2-3, but we need a number 1X is kind of where I'm leaning with it. Just expands the field, opens it up more options, more diversity to throw to. That's just kind of what I think is the best move here for us.
If everybody remember his second year, right before the year before he was drafted, both his wide receivers, Josh Downs and Walker. Walker is 6'2", 6'3".
Right.
He and Downs is like what, 5'10", 5'11" himself.
He's right at 5'10". 5'10".
But if you look at the production, because Drake had Walker out there on the outside, that tall, wide receiver he was throwing to, it opened up a lot of avenues for Downs to get more of those touches that he wanted and touchdowns. Because Downs ended up getting drafted before Walker did, remember?
Yeah.
And it was because of his production that he had with Drake. And that's what the Patriots need. They need that one, for Drake, they need a 6'4", 6'5" wide receiver he can throw down to open up the avenues for everybody else under it.
To piggyback off of that, Nesbitt, the tight end that they had at UNC, I viewed him more of a receiver anyway. They had him lined up out there numerous times that he would be lined up outside. That I kind of was like, oh, it'd be nice if we could get him late and develop him and build up more skill from him. Obviously, he's on a practice squad or something, or on some teams.
Well, we can still Vikings from Minnesota.
Yeah, still could. I just think, like you said, like having that big body. My plan is we just invested in Kyle Williams. The flashes he showed, there's something to go off of here with him. We've already seen Booty continue to have this consistent rapport with Drake May. If we can just get a long-term big body guy, I think the catch radius aspect of having someone there can really help Drake on those deep, like, gotta have it, third, fourth down type deep throw type shot. And that's kind of just where I'm at with it.
One point to mention is that in the Super Bowl, Mac Hollins was the leading receiver, and Mac Hollins is the only receiver who's like 6'4". When you look at this roster, here's what I think it should happen. You invest in Kyle Williams in the 3rd round pick. For Kayshon Boutte, I would not give him an extension yet. I want to see him on his final year of his rookie deal, see what he can do. And then with Pop, I would trade him away just to get draft capital out of him. And then you have Chisholm. Chisholm, I think that he's going to be. I think Chisholm will take over where Pop Douglas is. I think there will be a competition between Pop and Chisholm because obviously I love Chisholm. But I agree with you 100%. Mac Hollins cannot be your only tall guy. There is a reason why he was the tallest guy. He was like the most reliable receiver, and yet he's like up in his 30s. You can't just have like a Mac Hollins is not meant to be like your wide receiver 1. He's more of like your wide receiver 3 or 4. So if I were to look into the draft, get somebody like a Chris Brazel or a Denzel Boston, or heck, even like a Caleb Douglas or a Chase Roberts, while still having Mac Hollins being able to be that guy. And so you have like a double-headed monster when it comes to like the heights, and then Drake May has variable options to go to. And then the topic that NJ mentioned, which we will get to briefly soon, you want to be able to have this tall guy that Drake May can rely to. Obviously, Pop shows the flashes, but it's been really inconsistent with Pop Douglas. And so there's a reason why height does play a factor, and speed, yes. I wish that Josh McDaniels utilized a little more of like some gadget plays like with Pop Douglas, but I did not see it. And the problem with Pop Douglas back then was his durability, so that also played into effect with Pop. So yeah, Tyler, when we talk about this in the chat, like obviously your minimum for having a wide receiver is 6'2" or 6'1" as a minimum. So like I would draft Elijah Surratt somewhere in like the second round and the third round. And then I would look into the fourth, fifth, or sixth to get like one of those tall guys, like a Ted Hurst or maybe like a Caleb Douglas or a
I'll take Noah Thomas.
Yes, a Noah Thomas.
I'll take him right there in the 6'5". He runs a 4.43 and 210 pounds. I'll take him all day in the 6th round.
Because I am not impressed with the free agents, because you have a lot of old guys like Evans, because he's 6'4", but he's just coming back from a season-ending injury or a hamstring injury. Tutu Atwell, he's old. He's too small. That's the thing. He's like 5'8", so forget it. Hollywood Brown, no, I'm not a huge fan of him.
Tyreek Hill.
Fuck no.
How'd you kids?
Romeo Dobbs.
Romeo Dobbs.
Christian Kirk.
Alec Pierce is going to get grossly overpaid. He's a very good player, but he is going to get a bag. Like I think
on what the Colts do with the salary cap. So they're going to have to work.
Remember, they also still got Michael Pittman they paying.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Michael Pittman. I think he signed it.
They got to make that choice. If they cut Pittman, they're keeping Pierce.
I'll take Pittman.
Yeah.
Put him with Surratt. Put him with Surratt and Williams.
Yeah.
You can see that being the core for a while.
That'd be cool. I'd be cool with that.
And I agree with what Eric says. Every Batman needs a
Exactly. That's my view of it. Was like, however you want to put it.
I put this. The Patriots need a Bat family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of big fans,
we need a Batgirl.
Yep.
A Bat dog.
Speaking of big fans, let's talk about the next position. And I think this could be an interesting position. I like Koziel, but I have a feeling that they will target Likely in free agency. What are your thoughts on that? Likely is just really inconsistent. So I have a proposal to make. Since Ravens were stupid enough to give Andrews an extension, why do we do this? We take two of their other tight ends, Likely and Kohler, have that have like that tandem that you have from Baltimore. And then there will be a huge question with what we do with Hunter Henry, because
Henry will stay. I think you just would do rotated sets. So if you would have Kohler in for your runs, and then you have Likely in the pass game. So I mean, it's going to kind of be a dead giveaway of what you're doing, but like you've got an expanded field having Henry and Likely there, as long as Likely can stay on the field. Because my joke with Likely is he's likely not going to make it through the season. So,
I would not take no chance on Likely. I'll let somebody else deal with Likely.
No, I would not give Likely a deal. Like, I would give him like a 1-year deal maximum, because he has been really inconsistent. Not to mention he's coming back from a hamstring injury, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why I was never into Likely. Granted that he is a Massachusetts guy, but I was more of a fan of Kohler, because Kohler could be your blocking tight end, and you could give him like a 1-year deal, and then you could go in a draft and get like someone like a Koziel, or maybe like a Stowers, or even better, Oscar Delp out of Georgia.
I kind of like Oscar Delp. He's not the same caliber as Bowers, but he's decent in the blocking game, and he decent speed for himself as well. So I mean, I had no problem getting him. You know, even John Michael Gilbert out of Wyoming.
I agree.
And he's actually was the fastest running tight end in college football this year. You know, for him, I think he's what 6'4"? No, he's 6'5", and he runs a 4.4.
That'll be confirmed here on Saturday, Friday.
On Friday.
Friday,
and he's at 250. So I'm like, if he can move at 4'4", 6'5", 250, I'll take him in the third or fourth round.
Eric just asked a question for Kenyon Sadiq.
Only if a team was stupid enough to draft a reach player. And here are the couple of players that I can think of. Proctor. Simpson. Yeah. Who else am I thinking? Who's that other guy? Oh, Freeling or Lomu.
And these guys aren't bad. Like I would say Lomu and Freeling, they're not bad, but it's just got to be a placement of what you're doing with it. Simpson, I don't view him as a first round. I could be wrong. I just don't.
They're just gonna get him in the first round with their second pick,
or beginning of the second round, like latest. Like, I think my hang up with Proctor. I don't know. He just takes plays off.
Proctor's feet are too sloppy.
He's lazy as shit.
He really is. He's the young version of Trent Brown. He's the young version of Trent Brown.
Thank you.
I agree. Like, I swear to God. There's a screen.
Will Campbell, and let's save it for Caleb Proctor. Like,
who was it? Like, it was they threw a screen pass to somebody out on Alabama, and he's just chugging along and doesn't touch a single person.
Oh, that was against Oklahoma, and Art Mason blew it up. And when after he blew it up, I swear to God, I thought the running back was dead.
2 games in a row, he made him eat his lunch, dude. Like, that just you can't improve off of a guy you just faced, like, you know, especially in this kind of. I just don't see a first round in him. I just think everybody's building athleticism. Let's get back to Sadiq real quick because
you can see Mesidor. I could see Mesidor like rising up there, and if Mesidor rises up, I could see Sadiq falling a little bit. It will depend on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Here's how I'm gonna say this. The Nick and Worry of this combine this year is gonna be Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah,
I think he's going to run an outstanding time for his size. I think he's going to catch everything. I'm sure he's going to have an impressive vertical. I'm sure he's going to have a great broad jump. I'm sure he's going to go ahead and start benching too, just to bench. Like, he's that much of a gym freak athlete. Like, and then when teams get to interview him, talk with him, and then you see the production on it's like, how can you not take this guy within the top 15? Like, he's got it all. Like, if you're gonna tell me Noah Fant was a first rounder and Kenyon Sadiq isn't, I don't get it. There's no reason he would slip to 31. Personally, if he does, like, I mean, he must be doing something very illegal or something. You know, there's just no way.
Either there or the football guys was on our side.
Yeah. I just can't see it. He's going to be in the top.
If he gets past Kansas City, I'll be surprised.
I agree.
Yeah, but yeah, I could see like a lot of I could see tight end being another sneaky need, especially that I would look into free agency to get a tight end, and that will dictate what we do with Hunter Henry, because unfortunately Hunter Henry had some massive drops, especially in the biggest moments. Like, I love Hunter Henry, but there were some drops here and there that were really questionable and uncharacteristic, and also not to mention Henry is on his final year of his deal. So it begs the question of like what we do with like the restructuring of his deal, because the cap space is there, but I just feel like Henry, he's getting up in age. He's not the same as he once was when he first came in New England. And I just don't know about it.
I think it just needs to be going through the draft. I feel like we just did the Austin Hooper, Hunter Henry thing. I'm not even opposed to Henry just staying until he retires here with us. Like, I know it's not a sexy thing or whatever, but look, he's reliable and he's going to probably continue to show his age, but like, he's that good enough of a player, a good leader, good guide, like just to have, like, just let him retire with us. Like, just
Agreed.
keep him in the room.
And honestly, I would like for us to keep him, but then draft one this year and draft one next year.
Yeah, just keep
That way
adding
he
to
can
it.
be the one that can show them the right way.
Right.
So free agency will be a factor. So like if Okongwu is on the market or On is on the market, Likely is in the market, Pitts is in the lock, who, by the way, he is not your go-to tight end, and I don't like Pitts, to be honest. So
I wouldn't want to take the money that he's gonna probably see.
no,
He ain't really gonna see much because he really hasn't performed or produced as much as everybody thinking he has.
And can I say something real quick here, Nelson? 3 offensive coordinators. Like, if you're telling me 3 offensive coordinators can't get the most out of this guy, like, when's it ever gonna, like,
Click.
is it that bad of coaching that none of those guys can get it right with him, or is it the player? That's where I'm at.
Yeah, also the value of where they drafted him. Like, he was a 4th overall pick in that 2021 draft class. There are like many other options that you could go out for, and he decided to go. He was like, I think he was like the first tight end to be taken off that high, I think. So
yeah, he was.
He was?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's the general manager having a pea-sized brain of an ant.
No, because when he was in college, he showed so much talent and so much ability. But the problem is, I think, in all honesty, it's not just the coordinators or him. It's just the schemes. Nobody knows exactly what type of scheme to use him in. Because if you look at it, each one of them try to use him as a wide receiver. They try to use him as an inline tight end. And it's like, we don't know what you're really good at.
Right.
You're a jack of all trades, but what is the thing? You're a jack of all trades, but you're not a professional one.
Yeah, master.
Master of one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do everything but the one thing that's needed to.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just
all steak.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He's just always going to be a big question mark until he retires.
Only a team would be stupid enough to give him like a shitload of money and then being like one of those players who doesn't perform well and have the potential worth the money.
In all honesty, I think if you give him to either our McDaniels or the McDaniels that's going to the Chargers, especially the one in the Chargers, I think he'll probably be able to figure him out.
Interesting. It will depend on, because they got Gadsden. Him and Gadsden would be an interesting pairing, but
it'll be a dynamic pairing.
Shall see. So, and finally, let's get to one last position. I think that could be a sneaky need, and that is linebacker. I don't know about you, but a linebacker be a sneaky. There are a couple of candidates from the Patriots who I think we can get rid of. Mapu is the biggest one. And then Spillane is going to be a huge question mark when it comes to like his contract, because after his towards the second half of like his season, he's been pummeled with injuries and all of that. So like when we look at the linebacker position, do you think that we might want to like get us immediate starting caliber linebacker in the draft, and then or maybe look into in free agency? Because the only notable linebacker that I know is Devin Lloyd, and I think that he's going to be way, way too expensive.
I think he's going back. I think the Jags should keep Devin Lloyd. I think for linebacker, this draft has so many good people of what I think we should be looking for. I think we need to keep Spillane as basically the Mike, like the guy that's just keep him set in place. If he wants to blitz, let him blitz. Or if he just needs to hold that line, be a spy, let him be a spy. I don't think he needs to be out in coverage like that. I think he just needs like occasionally like small short zone like setups for him. But I'm not going to have him totally be chasing somebody just to chase him like on a route. where he could potentially hurt his ankle again or something like that, getting burned trying to do man-to-man coverage. I think getting a coverage linebacker here, Kyle Lewis, CJ Allen, who is Anthony Hill, Rodriguez, Bocher. I think he needs just a little bit better aspects of his coverage game. I'm not huge on him, but Deontay Lawson also fits that bill. I just think getting a coverage guy. Who was it?
Jake Golday.
Oh yeah, Golday. Yep. Like just
he's really
coverage.
good, and also
Kelly.
Don't forget Landon Barton.
Yeah, Landon Barton. Like I think, but to me, Landon Barton, I feel his size, his build is just kind of more of like built for what exactly Spillane does. So I'm kind of, not that I'm off on him as a player. I do like him a lot. I think if like Spillane, there's just no doubt about it, we're going to keep running into injury issues with him. If you're telling me we're going to get Barton in like the 5th, 6th, cool with me. But in terms of second, I feel like we're just going to have two stout linebackers that aren't going to be the most reliable in coverage. I think we just need to get a guy that we can get in day 2, be able to really add into it to be kind of borderline a nickel linebacker or corner kind of thing. Just somebody that can just be another threat while our pass rush explodes and gets the quarterback and helps knock out some coverage lanes.
There's another player I'm also looking at, and for some reason he's been sneaking up there, and that is Josiah Trotter out of Mizzo.
Yeah, he would be in the Spillane camp with me too. I think he's too similar to that build that I don't know if we would take him.
Now there are two that's sneaky to me. Eric Gentry
from
USC. Tall, he's lanky, he got great range, and he has nice size. I mean, I saw him in coverage and everything. He's really good in coverage. He's decent in run stopping, but he can set the edge like needed. So he's one. And also Kendall Daniels.
Yeah.
Who used to be a safety, and they converted him to a linebacker just like Nikawari. But he's 6'5", 242.
There's also a couple names that I think of, like there's York out of Texas A&M, and then there are a couple players that I'm not a fan of. Like obviously, for example, Perkins and Weeks. I do not like LSU.
Well, Weeks went back to
Weeks went back.
His brother came in. His brother declared for the
right
thing, but his brother
he's not going to be at the combine.
No,
he didn't cut it. I honestly, dude, I don't even think. It's funny to me. Perkins is getting such like people are starting to kind of gas him up right now, and I'm just like, did we not watch anything he just did the last like 2 years? Like it's just, I feel like every time I watched Perkins, I felt like he's getting burned on a play, and it was just very frustrating for a guy that I thought was going to declare last year. Should have declared while there was a name to him still, but I think he was like would have entered the year with an injury. Or entered camp with an injury, so it just wouldn't have worked out. I just feel like every time I watched him, he got burnt. I know we were just talking sneaky. 2 names. Well, actually 3. I'm really curious about him. Red Murdoch. I've only seen a little bit of him. I want to see like how he actually athletically tests. Scooby Williams. He's on the shorter end, but he's out of Texas A&M. And finally, a guy that nobody is freaking talking about, Keyshawn Elliott out of Arizona State. He is really freaking impressive, really athletic, and I would not be surprised coming into coming into the combine, that he shows out and ends up being one of the more athletically gifted guys out of the bunch from what I've seen on tape. He just gives me that vibe that he's just gym rat, like going to try to probably have a good 40 time. Probably do a lot of great stuff in his workouts or whatever. Aiden Fisher's another one too to keep an eye out for from Indiana.
And Owen Hinkie.
Yeah. Oklahoma.
They have some really good linebackers in this class. I mean, they're pretty
The
good.
TCU guys too.
Yeah, him and he as well.
Abiezer and Arams or I always get that abbreviation mixed up. Alarms, Elarms or Caleb Elarms or Elarms
Oh
or
yeah, I saw him.
yeah, they're good. Jack Kelly out of BYU. I don't remember if I mentioned him or not. He's also really good.
Oh, Jack Kelly's he's like a missile.
Yeah.
He's like see ball, get ball.
And Justin Jefferson's going to probably be another name that gets talked about a lot, but I think he's
Not Justin Jefferson, the receiver. Justin Jefferson.
correct. No, we got another one. It's like,
Yeah.
well, who's the
But
other guy?
he's actually pretty good
He
in
is.
coverage.
He is.
He may not
So,
get talked much about, but he's actually really good in coverage, though.
They talk more about Lawson just because he's kind of that hybrid like thing, and that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm kind of saying we're looking for is more of the hybrid style linebacker. I guess that's the term I'm trying to ultimately say. We just need somebody that, and me personally, I have glazed this guy up, and I'm going to continue to glaze him up. Kyle Lewis, it does everything. He is just 5'11". Like, if you just look past that, if he played for any other team, we'd be talking about this dude as like borderline first round. I think he's that damn good. And I hope teams realize that. And even if we don't take him, I'd love him on our team. But I just think somebody's got can't look see what he's done at Pittsburgh and just continue to ignore it. He's that freaking good, man.
I tell you, if we get Ian Nakor and Kyle Lewis both on day 2, we will have a field day when it comes to that. It will depend.
I'll go streaking out in this blizzard if it's. I'll rewind back to this time.
Granted, it's going to be in the spring, so
yeah, I know. I'll save some of it and throw it in the yard, keep it in the freezer.
No, but seriously, if this is how it works, obviously it will depend on what we do on free agency. But obviously, combine, it's not going to be easy, but it will shake up the draft. Draft board is not going to lie, especially on PFF. It will dictate players that we can sort of get, if they did not partake in the combine, or basically they're players that just their stock has slightly dropped, but more reasonable for teams that are currently in the playoff run. So that could be helpful for teams who are currently in the playoff run, like the Patriots, for example.
Yeah.
And
so I think that's going to be it. So obviously,
can we answer one quick question I saw from Eric?
Let's do
it. He asked regarding safeties transitioning to linebacker. Nelson, did you have anybody in mind here for it real quick? That you would put safety and move in the box kind of thing.
Yeah, Cole. What's his name?
Cole.
The Texas Tech.
Yes.
He got snubbed. I think he was the guy that got snubbed from
the combine.
Yeah, he got snubbed, and somebody else did as well that I'm blanking on. I know, but he was one of them.
I think it was Isaiah. Nwakabe from SMU. He's another one that I can see going to be in Nikawari. He's a missile, and he loves to hit. If you watch his tapes, he loves to hit the run game, and he has no problem getting into it. Got great hands, great speed for him, and he's like 6'1" at 200, 210, almost 210.
Here's the biggest snub ever. Mikhail Kamara out of Indiana. That is the biggest snub.
That is another one.
Yes, that's who it was. Yes, he got snubbed. He was.
And it is crazy how he is not being talked about at all.
No, he's not.
Whenever you do any of the simulations, he's all the way down in the 6th round or whatever. And I'm like, are you serious?
Is there some legal shit on him that we don't know? You know what I mean? Not to speculate that far, but
it's because he's 6'1". That's the problem.
I mean, even then, it's still
I don't understand why height or measurements need to also play a factor, but yeah, with offensive line, yes, when it comes to the arms, but the height, sometimes it means nothing, but kind of does. I could be wrong. Like,
I just
obviously,
think
Kamara played really well for Indiana.
can you play the NFL? Do you show enough talent on tape? Do you have enough good techniques that you can do it? Like I don't think I think people get so caught up on what is the standard. This is what you need to be. Not every single guy is that. And so if you're 2 inches shorter than like what they want you to be at 6'4", like or even let's kind of more realistic it. If you're 2 inches shorter than 6'2", you're at 6 foot 5'11", teetering there. You're not good enough to be linebacker. You should move the safety. That's what they're trying to say with Kyle Lewis. But like Kobe Dean, wasn't he 5'11"? Like,
Yeah.
and he's made a pretty good impact for the Eagles, staying right at linebacker. Like
the linebacker from the Jets, Quinn Williams, I think it is. He's 5'11".
Yeah.
The reason why Quincy Williams scares me a bit, but that's because he played for the Jets. But what did he do with the Jaguars too? So probably he needs to be with a team that would help him develop more. But I just feel like the Jets are the Jets. Like, you can never be developed properly from the Jets unless you're some top dude from that draft.
Unless you already came with the talent to do it.
To get right back around to Eric's question real quick before I forget, Kamari Ramsey, he can probably move in box. AJ Hawsey can move in box. Try to do like linebacker. I'd be curious if he would do it more, but Dylan Thieneman, I think they just keep him as like a deep safety. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, he's athletic and freaky enough to be able to do it, and obviously Caleb Downs. Those are going to be the top.
Have Xavier Nwakaba from Iowa.
Iowa, yep.
He's another one that can move into the
Bishop Fitzgerald, Genesis Smith. Some of these guys have I think could sneak in and do so as well.
Safety is going to be a sneaky. Safety is interesting because Hawkins is hitting free agency. Obviously, the current top safety right now is Kyle Duggar, and we all know what happened with Kyle Duggar. We all know all too well. The only current safety we can there's Blankenship, there's Curl, there's no to Tony Adams. There's also Ifeatu Melifonwu, he's unfortunately injured. Brian Cook out of the Chiefs, Nick Cross for the Colts. I think that if you solidify, Jalen Jones out of the Chicago Bears, if you can get at least, heck, even Kobe Bryant from the Seahawks, if you can get at least a safety in free agency, have him pair with either we both resign Hawkins, then get another safety from the free agency, have him pair with Craig Woodson. That could be like a scary trio. It will depend on how we do it with Pettis.
They done had 2 conversations with Jalen Stroman from Notre Dame, as well as Deuce on Chestnut. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they're going to go in a free agency for safety. I think they're looking into the draft to find somebody, just like they did with Craig Woodson, nobody's talking about, and that they can get in the 4th round.
Yep. I think ultimately they just re-sign Hawkins no matter what.
I think they will.
I can't see him going anywhere else personally.
Or how much is going to be the question.
I don't think it'd be. I think he would be team friendly. Safeties aren't really paid as much unless you are like elite of the elite. Like,
who is it? The top one is like $10 million a year. About $12 million a year, I think it is, for the top wide receiver. Safety.
Kyle Duggar was up there at like, what was he at, 13, 14?
He was that up there. He was
15. But he still wasn't the top. He still wasn't the top paid at the time. Yeah, but remember that was Mayo, who really didn't know what he was doing anyway.
Yeah.
So
that's true. That was true. And obviously, Duggar did not fit the scheme that Mike Vrabel.
No. And he sure didn't fit in Pittsburgh either. They sure ain't extending.
Peppers, I have no idea what the Peppers.
Peppers are a free agent too.
Yeah. I don't know if we would go back to doing safety to box though. I mean, maybe it's like if we did a third safety, like keep it in that range. But as I said, I would just kind of keep that as like the linebacker playing nickel kind of thing personally. Um, that's just kind of personally how I would view it making the most sense. Because I feel like we always have like 2 to 3 linebackers on the field anyway, and
Yeah.
just have one just be able to have the ability to kick out and cover slot or play out there. Real quick before we plan on getting out of here, do you got what's like top 5 players you guys are most excited to see or that you're aware of being athletic freaks that you think are absolutely going to impress the hell out of everybody?
I'll let you go, D. You go first.
Gosh. If I were to let's start with obviously I don't have like the roster of players that are currently attending the combine.
See if I can send it to you real quick. That helps you, and you can come over, and I'll cover for you in the meantime. Hold on 1 second, Dal. I'll send it to you in our chat, and then I'll cover for you for who I'm thinking since I posed the question. All right, so I sent that to you in the group, bud.
Perfect.
That's the roster. Just go through a couple positions. For me, Kenan Sadiq is number 1. I think he's going to absolutely go out there, knock the doors down. Everybody's going to be talking about this guy once this is all said and done. I do think there is, if I'm going to confirm real quick that he is in here, because if he is not, I don't want to look silly. But he's blowing up. Yep, Caleb Proctor.
For some reason, that you sent me, Tyler, is crashing.
It's not coming. It's not coming through.
Oh, it's coming through, but for some reason it's been crashing on me. So
don't worry about it.
The biggest one is going to be Arvel. Obviously, it's going to be Arvel.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if Arvel.
I'm curious if he even tests. I'm curious that he might not even test because I think he's just going to have somebody in his agency telling him. Like that's also going to be the thing that sucks is we're going to be seeing this come through and somebody's going to be in their ear saying, well, you're a lock at 2 or 3. You don't have to worry about it. And if that happens, then it's like we don't get to watch them. And that part sucks. But
for what, obviously one's going to be Kenyon Sadiq, obviously. I think that we could see Zion Young being there. It will depend on I think his stock is going to rise up for sure. Obviously, we could see a bit. We can see. I'm more interested in who is it? Let's see who else. Maybe look into Chris Brazel out of Tennessee. He could be interesting. Malachi Fields. We didn't talk about Malachi Fields for a brief moment. I could see him being a top. Ooh, good mentions. Love and Boston. Obviously, there's no way we're getting Love. Obviously, Love is not much of a need anyway because we don't need a running back. Denzel Boston, he's going to be that one guy that he's going to pop up because he's been rising. The only reason Denzel Boston gets overshadowed a bit is because of shitty quarterback play. And so I think that with Denzel Boston, I think he's the guy that I really want. But it will depend on what Denzel Boston. Obviously, he has the height. Does he have the durability? Is going to be the question.
Yes. There's some good names on that. Nelson, who you got?
One is going to be John Michael Gillenberg.
Mm-hmm.
That's one that I'm going to be looking for. As well as I'm also going to be looking for Zion Harris, defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
But that man to be 6'7", 6'8", and move as fast as he do on that line, I like to see him next to Barmore and Milton Williams. Yeah. And then also have Maxwell Levine and Ted Hurst.
Okay.
Ted Hurst, I know you praised the hell out of cricket.
Yeah, he's the guy that turned me on to him.
It was just that for a small school to produce somebody like that, he was something to watch, and he was something. And I looked at him and I looked at Chris Bell, and I'm like, okay, both of these guys are looking good, and it's like once you start looking at his tape, you can't stop. because he is smooth with it for him to be that size and the strength that he has at the catch points.
Yeah.
He looks like a man playing like amongst like boys. You know what I mean? It's like you took like the star player from the high school team and threw him on a Pop Warner field. Like that's kind of how it felt. Like I felt like he was just above the competition he was playing. Like and it was consistent. It was just consistent, clear as day. Like this guy should. And then when he plays against a bigger team at Georgia Tech or somebody, he's still just as good. Like he's still running clean routes. He's still breaking off, separating from guys. There's a lot to like about Ted Hurst, man. He's awesome.
Yeah. Even though
Right.
the person who's going to rise up the most is Tyron Montgomery after his Senior Bowl and his history, but the problem with him is the experience and the snaps, of course. So I don't know why Montgomery's been talking a little more.
That's the one thing everybody kind of kills me with when they talk about, oh, he's in a small school, he's not that good. Ted Hurst was at the Senior Bowl. Tyron Montgomery was at the Senior Bowl. They was mossing guys who have been in the SEC, you know, Pac-10 and everything. So I mean, if they're doing it against them, why can't they do it in the pros?
Exactly.
I'm gonna roll off my top 5 real quick. That I think leaving this is gonna impress the hell out of some teams. Not just Patriots, but just the guys that I think are going to be talked about on X directly after. Like this guy had the best day. We all are pretty much in agreement. Kenyon Sadiq is definitely it. He's insane.
Correct.
I think R. Mason Thomas is gonna maybe not have like the best 40, maybe not have all that. I think he's just gonna really show out in these drills that like, hey, I missed the Senior Bowl. I missed the Senior Bowl because I was getting myself like fully recovered from my injury.
Same with Shrine Bowl and Bull Bowl.
I also think we have not seen the guy play in an entire year. He's going to be a first-round pick. We all know it. Tremont McCoy out of Tennessee. He is a year completely removed away from his ACL. Finished out his junior year. What's the point of playing? I suffered this injury in January. Why should I retake the field and risk injuring it? But my tape alone from the year before showcased I was a first-round talent. I think he's been constantly working out this entire offseason. I think Jermod McCoy is going to come in, run an outstanding 40. He's going to look crisp and clean in all these drills, and everybody's going to be like, this is the best corner in the draft. We got to take him. I think that's how that's going to go. Tight end, I know we're going to throw one more in here. Tight end was Tanner Koziel. We've all been talking about him. I think athletically, as long as his knees healed up, and I mean, he looked good from what we saw at the Senior Bowl. I think this is a showcase of his athleticism. I think he's gonna have a good vertical. I think he's gonna have probably pretty decent 40 time, maybe like closing in on 4.6, 4.5 for his height. I think he'll probably succeed there. Running back, the guy that I think is gonna do some real crazy stuff. I just had his name.
Is it
and this is no, this is going to be my deep sleeper that I want to see have a crazy Senior Bowl. Eli Heidenreich out of Navy.
I'm not surprised. I had a feeling you were going to pick him.
I just have a feeling.
I don't know why.
I just have a feeling that he's just gonna like be solid at everything on it. And I don't know, like, you watch that Navy Army game and you just were like, this guy is all over the field. And I think this is a great chance to let's just see this guy as an athlete. And I think he's going to be the Chisholm of this. Like, he was tight end, he was receiver, he was running back, he was all over the field. He's my Chisholm underdog guy.
If he is an undrafted free agent and we get him at the highest,
it'd be crazy.
That would be insane. If he like tops over all of our players on the roster and makes a 53-man roster and then just balls out and just outperforms every single rookie, that would be the craziest story ever.
Last two guys, Skylar Gill-Howard, defensive tackle out of Texas Tech, Caleb Proctor out of southeastern Louisiana. I think both of those guys are going to have a really solid athletic showing and look really good in the drills. It's Caleb Proctor, not the Proctor from Alabama,
Oh my
but
gosh.
Caleb Proctor. I mean, I think he Proctor from Alabama. I think he is going to test really well, get talked about a lot. I think Caleb Proctor is going to just really show out and make a name for himself. Skylar Gill Howard coming off of an injury, I think he's ready to go and solidify himself because everybody else is talking about homeboy, his other shoot, what's his name? Nelson, help me out. The other DT from Texas Tech.
Oh,
Guy that just killed it.
The Hunter or
Yeah, Hunter. Yes,
yeah.
I think
Hunter and his partner.
everybody's talking about Hunter. That I think Skylar is gonna. This is his chance.
Skylar's gonna show out. He's really gonna show out.
I think this is his shot to show out because I don't think he was able to participate in the Senior Bowl.
But I also think Kelly gonna show out too.
Yeah.
From UCF.
Yeah.
So everybody been talking about
everybody's talking about Malachi. Yeah.
But the thing about it, the funny part about it, a lot of people don't understand. The reason why Malachi got those was because of Kelly. He was the cleanup. Lawrence was the cleanup guy over Kelly.
Yeah.
That's the part that they don't understand.
It's gonna be fun, man. Oh yeah. Eric says the best draft. Just draft the whole Texas Tech defense. So if I'm the New York Jets, get started on it because they've got the most picks and might as well go ahead and knock it all out.
I wish, Eric. If we
take both. I would take both of the edge rushers from UCF.
Yeah.
You put both of them with Barmore and Williams is ugly. It's over with.
That'd be freaking crazy.
Yeah, all lines are gonna have to fear us if that's the case. But that's going to be it for today's live stream. Thank you to DF, our other mod. Like, share, subscribe. As usual, please make sure that you hit the thumbs up button. Don't ask me why I got this microphone. I got it as a late Christmas present. Thank you so much.
And if you haven't, I have released the draft website, patriotsdraftroom.com. All the draft intel is in there. Top 50 big board, positional rankings. Feel free to check it out. Follow me on X.
Also link in the description down below if you really need to. So I would definitely recommend it to look at it. Also, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Is the best way to help us support the channel, help us best way bring out the content that we really wanted, especially if we're talking draft, we're talking the off season. There's going to be a lot of fun things coming your way. And so, yeah, it's going to be really appreciated if you please click the like button on your way out and click the subscribe button. Please share this with the notifications. And also, I'm turning this over to you of like which player or which top 5 players from any position that you really want to see in the combine in the comment section below. We really hope you guys enjoy the show, and we will be back more for some draft content. I think by the time the combines finish and as we head into free agency, draft boards are going to be shifting over, and we're going to be curious to see which needs that we're going to fulfill. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, let's go Pats.
Go Pats.
Let's go Pats.